Hi everyone, welcome back to Online Learning Lesson 11. We're going to talk about LinkedIn today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview on LinkedIn, and then we're going to talk more specifically about your final individual project, your All-Star Plus LinkedIn page. So a little to start off with LinkedIn. So actually LinkedIn was founded in 2002 by a man named Reid Hoffman. He is a former PayPal employee. Now, why is that relevant at all? Well, I encourage you guys to look up on Wikipedia the PayPal Mafia. It's a group of former PayPal employees and founders who have since founded and developed additional technology companies that have revolutionized how we do business. So essentially in the late 90s, early 2000s, PayPal was the place to be if you wanted to launch not only a great career at PayPal, but then also move on to create other amazing startups like YouTube, Yelp, SpaceX, and LinkedIn. So as we go through each of these different channels, you'll be hearing former PayPal employee quite a lot. LinkedIn was launched on May 5th, 2003 to the public. It is the 15th most popular website on the internet, and it's headquartered up in Silicon Valley, of course. Microsoft acquired LinkedIn for $26.2 billion in 2016. And also in 2016, LinkedIn acquired lynda.com. So lynda.com is now LinkedIn Learning, and all CSULB students get it for free through your single sign-on, so I would highly encourage you guys to check that out. A couple additional things. LinkedIn's annual revenue amounted to almost $6.8 billion last year, and they are one of the only social media networks that has been increasing and not going flat. So LinkedIn's Q3 2019 revenue increased by 27%, so they are still growing exponentially. While people keep their eyes on big name platforms for signs of saturation, user alienation, and stagnation, LinkedIn continues to own and grow its valuable niche. So let's talk a little bit about what that niche is. So who uses LinkedIn? Well, a lot of people use LinkedIn. LinkedIn was really smart because it got a really good niche, which is business people. So obviously it started out as business people connecting, then it grew into job searching. And now it really is about sharing professional information as well as becoming an expert in your field and showcasing that on LinkedIn. And it moves into college students and even high school students. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So more than 600 million members are on LinkedIn in more than 200 countries. 57% of LinkedIn users are men, followed by 43% women. So that's essentially a 50-50 split, or pretty close to it. 61% of LinkedIn users are between 25 and 34 years old. So think about that. That's really where you're in the beginning of your career. You're jumping jobs at a faster rate. So this is really the place to be for recruiting and finding good opportunities. 70% of LinkedIn users are outside of the United States. Again, we tend to think of these social media networks domestically, but the majority of users are usually outside of the United States. There are more than 40 million college students and recent graduates on LinkedIn. It is the fastest growing demographic for LinkedIn. There are 90 million LinkedIn users that are senior level influencers, and 63 million are in decision-making positions. So this is definitely where you want to be. Among college-educated Americans, LinkedIn overtakes Instagram and Pinterest to be the number 3 social media platform. Gen Z is taking their first steps into the workforce. That's you guys. And you guys tend to consider LinkedIn a non-negotiable for your job search, even more than millennials. However, LinkedIn has saturated the market of professionals. College students are the fastest growing demographic of user. So where does LinkedIn go now to grow their market share? Any guesses? High school students. So LinkedIn wants to be the place that high school students start to research their colleges. So they're investing heavily in schools right now. So why do people use LinkedIn? Obviously, the number one reason is to get a job or to get another job, a different job. There are 100 million job applications on LinkedIn every month. But also, we tend to forget that recruiters use LinkedIn a lot. So, to find new employees, more than 95% of recruiters use LinkedIn regularly. Also, this is a great place to showcase your expertise. If you want to become a noted person in your industry, LinkedIn is one of the places where you can start doing that. There are 17 million opinion leaders and 10 million C-level executives on LinkedIn. So, just in case you don't know, a C-level executive is like a chief officer. So, like, we have CEO, which is like the chief executive officer, CMO is a chief marketing officer, CFO is a chief financial officer. 2 million posts, articles, and videos are published on LinkedIn every single day. And finally, it's a great place for B2B. As you guys already know, that's business to business. So if you go into PR for a B2B company, LinkedIn is a channel you really want to be looking into. It's the #1 channel B2B marketers use to distribute content. 6 out of 10 users actively look for industry insights on LinkedIn, and 79% of B2B marketers see LinkedIn as an effective source of lead generation for them. How are people using LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn is used a lot. Of LinkedIn's 260 million monthly active users, almost half of those visit the site daily. So as I've mentioned before, when we recruit for the JPR social media interns, LinkedIn is usually one of the last ones people want to apply for. However, once you get into the LinkedIn ecosphere, you get addicted. And I will tell you, I have so many students that didn't necessarily want to do social media management for LinkedIn, but we put them in that position and they loved it, are obsessed with it, and are so grateful for it. The average user spends 17 minutes a month on LinkedIn. 57% of LinkedIn's traffic is on mobile. So when you guys are creating your LinkedIn pages, you want to make sure you're checking it on mobile. A lot of the times we look at it on the desktop first, which is fine. 57% is still kind of a 50-50 split. So you want to check it in both places, on mobile and on the desktop, and make sure it's looking correct. There are more than 11 billion endorsements on LinkedIn, and engagement has increased 50% on LinkedIn year over year. So as we said, it's not only just growing monetarily, it's growing in people and engagement as well. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. Why LinkedIn for college students? 9 out of 10 company recruiters use LinkedIn. 90% of recruiters use LinkedIn to vet candidates. So that means even if they're not finding you on LinkedIn, they're checking out your LinkedIn pages. So you should always have your LinkedIn URL on your resume. 20 million active job listings are on the platform. 41% of millionaires use LinkedIn. Who wants to be a millionaire here? And users with complete profiles are 40 times more likely to receive opportunities through LinkedIn. So in order to have a complete profile, there are 7 essential steps that you have to take. And that means you have to fill out your industry and location, have an up-to-date current position with a description, have 2 past positions listed, list your education, have a minimum of 3 skills, put in a portfolio or profile photo, and have at least 50 connections. But once you're done with your LinkedIn final project, your profile will be better than an all-star complete profile, I promise you. If you guys want more information or articles and tips and tricks on how to find a job on LinkedIn, specifically directed for college students, follow this link down here. And there's a whole section of LinkedIn for college students specifically. So let's talk about your final project. That's what we're really here for, right? You guys just want to get a good grade on this final project. So for your final project, you will be creating your own All-Star Plus LinkedIn page. This will be an invaluable tool as you begin your job search upon graduation. Users with complete profiles are 40 times more likely to receive opportunities through LinkedIn. Final projects will be graded on the completeness of your LinkedIn profile, including your profile picture, header, summary experience, skills, education, recommendations, practical work examples, connections, keywords, and engagement. Keep in mind, spelling, grammar, and clear and concise communication will be taken into consideration as well. You notice it doesn't say AP style on here. However, If you are going into the fields of public relations or journalism, AP Style will be considered because you need to demonstrate that you have a knowledge of that form of writing. All right, so let's talk about some details. Your final project, LinkedIn, is going to be worth 100 points. It is due on May 13th for Section 1 and May 14th for Section 2. You can submit it by adding a link to your profile on Beachboard in the appropriate Dropbox. There's a grading rubric on Beachboard, and all tips, tricks, and everything you need to know to get an A project is going to be on Beachboard under Content, LinkedIn Project. All right, so I'm going to teach you how to get an amazing LinkedIn profile in 10 easy steps. But before we even start the first step, I want to make sure you guys have a page set up. So if for some reason you don't already have a page set up, and I think when I asked in class, the majority of you already have a LinkedIn page, you just don't use it. You can go to linkedin.com and click join now and follow the steps. It's really easy to do to create your profile. The next thing you want to do is connect with me. I'll be your first connection or your 20th connection, whatever it is. And the link's here. It's Jennifer Lynn Newton. And you also want to follow our Journalism and Public Relations department, and that's at CSULB JPR. The link's on the bottom. Bonus, you can also connect with other professors. They know that you do this project every semester. And also take a look at the other pages for the university itself, maybe for your minor, if you're a comm minor or a marketing minor or a business minor, any clubs that you're in or your internship company. Start connecting and getting a good idea of who's on LinkedIn and what they're doing on there. All right, 10 steps for an All-Star Plus LinkedIn page. So step number 1, know your brand. You've already done this in your first assignment, your personal branding worksheet, so you can check this off the list. If, as we talked about before, you're feeling like your brand is a little different than what you initially thought, or you're still having some questions, there's a lot of great places to look on LinkedIn Learning to get down and dig into your personal brand a little bit more. So check that out. As I said, it's free for CSULB students. You can find it through the single sign-on. Step number 2, select your images. So you want to make sure you have a profile image and a background image. A profile image can get you 21 times more views and 9 times more connection requests. It's the first thing people see, and it can make or break them from clicking through to your profile. So it's essential for you to make a positive first impression with your profile picture. Follow the rules. These are LinkedIn's rules. They say that profile pictures cannot be a landscape photo, a picture of your pet, words, phrases, company logos, or any other type of imagery that is not your face. So essentially, LinkedIn wants you to have a headshot. I've even seen some of their rules that say your LinkedIn profile picture shouldn't be like a 3/4 shot or a full body shot. It should be a headshot. However, I have friends on LinkedIn that have a 3/4 shot as their profile picture, and I've never seen it get removed. So take that with a grain of salt, but just make sure whatever you're conveying with your profile picture, it's going to be professional, but it's also going to showcase you in what type of industry you want to be in. So as you'll see on the screen, we have Brian Addison. He is a columnist for the Long Beach Post. However, he is really a Long Beach fanatic, and he's kind of like a local celebrity. So obviously photography is a big thing for him. Arts is a big thing for him. So you'll see he chose black and white. And also, when you look at his cover photo, this is actually a building in Long Beach. So it talks about him really loving the city. It shows that he knows how to work cool angles in photography, and that aesthetic is important to him. So we really want to make sure that these 2 images are conveying you and your personal brand. When you're doing your cover photo or background image, pro tip, make sure to check it on both desktop and mobile. As that's key. We saw it's about a 50-50 split as far as people viewing it on mobile or on desktop. And some ideas for your cover photo, you can have a photo of where you work. So on my page, you'll see that it's the Go Beach sign because I work here and I love this city and I love this university. You can have something that conveys your industry or occupation. A lot of times we have students that'll do a flat lay. So if they want to go into fashion, maybe they'll do a flat lay of clothes or some racks or something like that. If they want to go into social media, a very well-placed flat lay is obviously a huge part of Instagram, so they can do that. You can do an abstract image that conveys a feeling, or it conveys a look of something that is important to you. If you have won any awards, you can put those on there. I've also seen professional PR people have a cover photo of some of their press hits laid out in a very aesthetically pleasing way. Or you can do something that conveys your interest. So I have a lot of students that want to go into sports, so they'll do like a sports photo of the specific sport they want to go into. But you can do a bunch of different things. If you're a foodie, you can do like a food picture or a layout or a restaurant. You can do a ton of different things. Again, this is really the only place on LinkedIn where you can really convey your personality and the field you want to go into visually. Step number 3, customize your page. So you want to make sure that you create a custom URL. As simple as it is, a lot of people actually don't know that this can be done, but by customizing the URL of your LinkedIn profile, you can make yourself easier to find and appear more professional. It also won't hurt when including your LinkedIn URL in your email signature or on a job application. I would suggest first trying to customize your LinkedIn URL to your first and last name. If that's already taken, you can try including an initial or try your last name and first name, and then maybe the industry you want to go in or the city you're in. Just try and make it very basic. This is not where you want to go super crazy. This is where you want to make it very easy for people to find you. So if you want to create your custom URL, all you have to do is go up to the Me button at the top of the LinkedIn page, click View Profile, click Edit Public Profile and URL on the right rail. Under Edit Your Custom URL on the right rail, click the edit icon next to your public profile URL and type the last part of your new custom URL in the text box and make sure you click Save. Next, you want to create a memorable headline. So LinkedIn will automatically default your headline to your latest position that you have put in your work experience. However, this is not a best practice to leave it that way. This is really your second most valuable piece of real estate on LinkedIn after your profile photo, so you want to make sure you make it memorable and that you use keywords so you appear in job searches. Make sure it describes what you do and what you have to offer. Be specific, include industries, specialties, etc. Also, there's a debate back and forth of using symbols in your headline. As you'll see with the example online, she uses those lines in between public relations, social media, influencer marketing. However, I've also seen people use stars or dots or even like the little pencil emojis. This is because when someone is searching for public relations and then there's a big list that comes up of people and all you see is their profile photo and their headline and their name. So if you're scrolling, again, it's about catching the eye and making the eye stop for that split second. So a lot of people will use symbols to kind of break up the repetition of just photo, words, words, photo, words, words. Again, I would say it goes back to your personal brand. You can go really cheesy really quickly with using emojis in your headline. However, you got to weigh the pros and cons of that. And again, I always say brand trumps everything. So look back to your personal brand. But at the end of the day, you want to customize this headline to help you get found in search. You don't want to use the default, which is your current position. Step number 4, write your summary. You guys, you want to make it memorable here. So this is kind of like your cover letter. This is the only space where you can kind of just expand on who you are, what you want to do, and what you have to offer. So as this is typically the first part of your LinkedIn profile, it is most often the part of your profile people will read first, if not the only part of the profile people will read. As with many first impressions, it's important to make it stand out and hard to forget. In your summary section, you will want to share information in a way that is easily digestible to your readers. Remember The preview only shows the first 3 lines, so make sure they count. Just like a press release, get the news in the first graph, so they will click the see more and expand it. Write it in the first person. After all, you're trying to sell yourself. You're not writing an autobiography. Use bullet points to get information about yourself across quickly. Use a few short to-the-point sentences to convey why you are great and what you do and why you would be worth hiring. Describe what drives, motivates, and inspires you and how to integrate these into your work. And include something that makes you stand out from the crowd. Do you have any interesting quirks or hobbies? Are you working on a neat project? Any fascinating facts to share? This is how you will grab the attention, differentiate yourself, and make yourself memorable. Step 5, education and accomplishments. So you guys all have education. You're in school right now, so that's a great place to start because you guys have a lot that you can put in there. With your education, you want to make sure to link your education to the official pages. So obviously, Cal State Long Beach has an official page. As you'll see, it will autofill with that LB. The journalism department has an official page you can link to. Again, this adds credibility, and also it puts you in the networks of those alumni and of those people that are working at these schools, so you can start getting information from them in your home feed. But you don't just want to link it and say when you're graduating. You want to add content in there. Add any awards or honors that you were able to achieve at school, any extracurricular activities, any clubs that you were part of, and also utilize links and multimedia components. So as you'll see, this is mine here, and it says that I go to California State University Long Beach, or I went to it. I got my Bachelor of Arts in Journalism with an emphasis in public relations. I was here from 1999 to 2001, probably before some of you were born. I've included my activities. So I was in PRSSA. I was vice president. I was on the Bateman team. I was ranked 3rd nationally. And then I also have a little bit of a description here of some of the awards I've won. So I was the department's outstanding major, I received a scholarship, etc., etc. And then finally I put media in here. So if people are interested to see more about my education, I link to the department's page. I also link to PRSSA's page to show where our chapter is today. And then I have a few other links in there as well. So definitely fill out this section, make it very robust. You guys all have it. You've all have the education, so you can do so. Next, we're going to hop over to accomplishments. So accomplishments is another great place to start. So one of the pieces of feedback I usually get from you guys when starting this project is that you don't have enough experience to make a fully fleshed out LinkedIn page. However, I challenge you because I know that isn't true. And some of the ways to do that are through your schooling and through your accomplishment sections. So your accomplishments allows you to list things like publications, patents, because I'm sure you guys all have a patent, courses, projects, honors awards, test scores, languages spoken, and organizations. The first thing you have are courses. You guys take courses here. It's a great place to list the courses that you've taken to show what some of your knowledge is. Also, publications. Most of you guys have some sort of a publication requirement. If not, you should just try to write for at least 1 or 2 publications. And at the least, you have your PRSSA blog post, which you can link in here. Hopefully you guys are members of PRSSA or AMA or SCA. You can stick that under organizations. You can talk about your languages. Clearly, I do not speak any other languages, but still I list English on here just to help make sure people understand that this is the language I speak. And then you can add things like projects, honors awards, etc. Another thing that you can do is add certifications to your LinkedIn page. So say you have a food handler certification or alcohol beverage certification, you can add those in this section. And a really great thing that you can do is if you are bored and you want to take some LinkedIn Learning courses, some of them will even offer you a certificate. So once you complete the course successfully, it will automatically link to your LinkedIn page and say that you are certified in social media management, or you're certified in writing a press release, or whatever that classes you took on LinkedIn Learning. Step number 6, work experience. So you guys may not have had a ton of jobs or internships at this point, but that doesn't stop you from having experience. So I want you guys to think about jobs, internships, and volunteer experience in this section. Again, when you're adding your experience, link to the official company page. Sometimes if it's a small company, they won't have a page, and then you just stick it in there, and just, you can't link to it, but you can still stick in the name. Talk about your role there in 1 to 2 sentences, and then bullet out your accomplishments. So much of what I'm reading nowadays is about quantifying what you do at your job. So not just saying, I write press releases, but saying that I've secured over 10,000 impressions with one press release that I wrote. So quantifying what you're doing. Have you grown your social media channels? Have you secured a certain amount of press hits? Have you raised money? How can you quantify your work? Add media to give examples of your company and your work. As you'll see, Megumi has 2 pieces of media on here, and it's the LinkedIn for her internship, as well as some of her published works on that website. And if you get a promotion at your job, you can string together your positions under the same job. So like Devin has here, she was an intern with Bob at Business Media, and then she moved up to a social media strategist after that. So you can string those together so you don't have to create a separate work experience from the same company. Volunteer experience. You definitely want to add your volunteer experience. So you can do that by adding the profile section and then selecting volunteer experience. This isn't a section that automatically populates, so you'll have to go and add it. Some things to think about when adding volunteer experience are your service learning projects. Did you guys work with a client on a press kit or on a crisis communication plan? Have you done any charity work? Did you do a fun run? Have you done beach cleanup projects? Also, what about your 471 project if you're in the campaigns class? That's a volunteer experience as well. You have a real client and they're usually a nonprofit. Step number 7, showcase your work. So you've got all of your education and your jobs in there. Now you want to show what you have done. And LinkedIn offers a few really great ways to showcase your work. One of those ways is the publications section. As I said before, you can stick in here any published events or any published articles that you've had, published pieces. You can give a brief summary of it. I usually advise using the lead or the first graph, and then you can link directly to them so people can read it. Again, in communications, in public relations, in journalism, having published pieces is a really valuable showcase of your work. So this is a great place to put it, and people can see that you know how to write, that you know AP style, that you know how to tell a story. So definitely include it on here. Projects. You can add your projects here as well. So think of things like your 471 campaign, the press kit you've done, the crisis communications plan you've done, etc. And then LinkedIn has this newer feature that allows you to feature specific posts, articles, links, or media that you feel are the most important or impressive up top. So as you'll see in this example, we have Brittany. She has 6 publications, so 6 published articles that she has linked. She has 4 projects that she's linked, and then she has chosen for her featured, which I think is very smart. This is her professional portfolio website that she built in this class. That's the first link on there. And the second is her Bateman campaign plan. So she was on the Bateman team last year. They won first place, and so she included her campaign plan summary here to showcase what she did. So now that you've really filled out your LinkedIn profile, you want to gain third-party credibility. How do you do that? Well, you can do it through skills and endorsements and recommendations. A skill on LinkedIn is a quick one-click way for your connections to endorse the skills listed on your profile. There's not an automatic way to request an endorsement, and only skills already listed can be endorsed. a written recommendation isn't included with this feature. So this is the easier kind of thing to get. So when you're building out your profile, you want to make sure that you're listing some key skills that you have and that other people can then endorse you for. So you're saying, oh, hey, I'm really great at public speaking. And then your connections are like, yeah, he or she really is great at public speaking. I'm going to endorse that person for this. So add your top skills. Also, pro tip, search for the top skills that companies look for in the field or the type of work you want to go into, and make sure you have those in your skill set and have people endorse you for them. And ask people to endorse you. Again, you can't do a formal ask for endorsement, but you can certainly email your classmates or talk to your friends and be like, hey, can you go on and endorse me for these different skills? I know you've seen me. We've worked in a group project together, so you know I'm reliable. You know I'm really good at public speaking. Can you endorse me for that? And the second way to gain credibility are recommendations. A recommendation is a written statement from a connection. You can request recommendations from your connections as well as proactively recommend your connections. So, recommendations are harder to get, but they are more valuable because this is someone actually taking the time to write a little bit of a paragraph about you and say why they would recommend you for another position. It's harder to get, so it's kind of a big ask for people, so make sure you're professional, prepared, and thankful. For this project specifically, for this class, you need to have 5 recommendations. So I want to make sure that you guys are reaching out to at least 10 people to give you a recommendation, because with that, hopefully you will get 5 of them to actually do it before the deadline. Look for a variety of people when you're asking for recommendations. It doesn't have to be just your former supervisors or bosses. You want to look for coworkers, classmates, professors, mentors. Make sure you have a good, diverse population of people recommending you. And that's going to really show how not only your bosses view you, but how do your coworkers view you? How do people you've been in groups with view you? How do your professors view you? So with recommendations, kind of the basic way to do it is request through LinkedIn. So there's an easy way you can just request a recommendation through LinkedIn. However, you guys aren't basic. So if you want to go a step further, you request through LinkedIn, but you also follow it up with an email or a call or a text to that person saying, hey, I just asked for a recommendation from you. Would you mind doing this for my project, et cetera, et cetera. But because you guys are so extra, what you really want to do is request it through LinkedIn, follow up. Maybe even in that follow-up, you can give a few key things that you would like them to point out, like, hey, we worked in this project together. I know that you were really awesome at the writing, and I did a lot of the creative, so if you can kind of highlight my creative skills, that would be great. And then once they do it, I know you guys are going to freak out. Send them a thank you card. Send them a thank you email at least. Card is much better. I've even had students give me a little gift certificate to Starbucks or something like that when we do a recommendation. So of these 5 recommendations that you need for this project, I do not count as one of them. I'm sorry, but the first year we did this, every single person in the class asked me to recommend them, and I was like, this is not accomplishing what I was hoping for them. So in the future, you can ask me to recommend you if you think you've done a really good job in this class. However, for this project specifically, I do not count as a recommendation for you. Step 9, join groups, start posting, make connections, and engage with people. So for this project, specifically for this class, you need to join at least 5 groups. And I want you to be active in these groups, guys. This is the best way to start making connections and networking and getting insider information. There are so many amazing groups on LinkedIn to join. You can join alumni groups for your high school, for your university. You can join industry-related groups, so PR, marketing, communications. You can join groups for around your area, like Long Beach, or if you're up in San Francisco, the Bay Area. A lot of alumni groups have a specific group for different areas across the country if you're not from here. You can join industry groups like fashion, beauty, sports. You can join skills groups, social media, media relations, speech writing. There's tons and tons of groups. But I'm going to give you one free group. free group for free. You can start by requesting to join the CSULB Digital PR All-Stars group. So this is a group that the very first class I taught at Cal State Long Beach, the Digital Public Relations class, after they completed this project, they requested for a group to be created so they could continue networking not only among themselves in the class, but also with future students who take this class. This group is comprised of all the other students who have ever been in this class. You can go in there, ask them for tips on this project. They've all been forced to do it as well. Network, find internships, utilize this group to help you get an A on this project. And start posting. So when I'm grading, I'm going to be looking at how often are you posting updates? Do your posts demonstrate your knowledge in the field you want to enter? Are you virtually connecting with people who can help in your career? Again, LinkedIn is great, but like with anything, if your page is just sitting there, no, people aren't going to necessarily find it. You want to make sure that you're being active. So you want to go to your home feed, you want to be sharing posts that are relevant, you want to be commenting and liking people's posts, and you want to be posting original content on LinkedIn. And then finally, grow your connections. So your ultimate goal in life is to get 500 or more connections. Why 500? Because once you hit 500, LinkedIn stops counting it publicly. So it'll just say 500 plus on your profile. I have I think 1,200 or something connections, and mine says 500 plus. So 500 is your ultimate goal. It means you're very, very well connected. However, for this project, you will need a minimum of 100 connections. Guys, I know this sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. With your class and the other section of the same class this semester, that's 50 people already right there. So if I were you, I would be sharing and engaging and talking to your classmates, not only in your section, but in the other section class, and make sure you guys are connecting with one another. And finally, step 10, get that A. So we want to make sure you get the A by following the rubric that's on LinkedIn, but most importantly, we also want to make sure that your page is secure. I can't give you security recommendations. It is completely up to you. However, I will show you if you click on the Me drop-down menu and select Settings and Privacy, you can find all the different settings and privacy. So here is my one kind of tidbit to that though. You don't want to make your profile so secure that people can't find you. LinkedIn is about getting found and about getting jobs. And I will say every single semester, without fail, and I anticipate this being the same way for yours, after students complete this project, I have at least one, if not more, students get recruited for a job off of LinkedIn, a job that they want, a job that is valuable, a job that they thought maybe they couldn't get, but their LinkedIn profile was so complete that they get recruited. So if you have your privacy settings too strict, it will be hard for those recruiters to find you. So again, you have to do what's right for you. That's why I don't make any recommendations on it. But just keep in mind, LinkedIn is about being found. It's not Facebook where you only really want your friends and family to read your posts. This is really where you want to be out in the world. So recruiters, companies, potential employers can find you. So that's all. That's 10 steps to your LinkedIn page. It's a little bit about LinkedIn as a whole. But I wanted to remind you guys that all the info you need to get an A on this project is on Beachboard under Content. You'll find the rubric. You'll find some tips. You'll find more resources, and you'll find the LinkedIn pages, some of the A projects from the past semesters. So that's it for this week. As you guys saw, I am changing a little bit how the class is structured. So we'll be doing one lecture a week, and then the next class, you can't see I'm using the quotes, but the next class, you can be working on the projects that are being given to you. So I will see you next week. And we're going to talk about Instagram. So I hope you guys are having a good time. I hope that you're healthy and you're not too bored. And I can't wait to see your amazing All-Star Plus LinkedIn projects.